Good evening, friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the show. Open Up. What is it, Open Up? Before I explain everything, I want to bring our guest and then introduce to you guys and then go into the introduction. Let's welcome Mr. Vibe. Dr. Vibe, how are you?
I am outstanding. I'm blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Am I allowed to call you Siv or Sivan? What would you like to be referred?
Sivam, that's fine. That's fine.
Sivan, it's a pleasure to be part of your conversation and your event this evening. And we had met a little while back through a great event that was put on by Jerome,
Yes,
the International Day of the Boy Child, and we've had sporadic conversations, and we've kept communication since then, and we're finally making it happen. So it's a
exactly.
pleasure and honor to be here with you and your audience.
Oh man, oh man. Everything happening for a reason. I'm so thrilled to have you here. Thank you for being here. Let me go to the introduction and then we will go to the show. The Open Up is actually part of Voice of Men 360. What is it, Voice of Men 360? It is a not-for-profit organization. It is based in Canada, Toronto, Canada, and also it is part of International Men's Day. International Men's Day is been here for a while, and this is the 21st year. Of course, Dr. Vibe also can elaborate more later on. But IMD, so far, nearly 90 countries joined together and then taking much or number of activities, initiatives on a regular basis. So let me share the six pillars. That's what we are focusing on. To promote, first one, to promote positive male role models, not just movie stars and sportsmen, but everyday working class men who are living decent, honest lives. Second, to celebrate men's positive contributions to society, community, family, marriage, childcare, and the environment. Number three, to focus on men's health and well being, social, emotional, physical, and spiritual. Number four, to highlight discrimination against men in areas of social services, social attitudes, expectations, and law. Fifth one, to improve gender relations and promote gender equality. Six, to create a safer, better world where people can be safe and grow to reach their full potentials. These are the six pillars we are working on. You can see this is overall the well being of boys and men. So we are here on a show, Open Up. What is it exactly, Open Up? Why we need it? So I feel personally, I felt there's a missing link or there's a platform we needed to have open up our, especially for men and boys, to have a discussion. They can come and talk about their struggles, challenges, overcome, so on. So there's so many things going on. So at least we have a place we can share. So every week we bring people and then listen their stories. So by sharing their stories, by listening their stories, we can see some positive impact, positive changes. They can make a positive mental challenges or positive changes in their lives. So that's a, basic motive behind this open up live talk. So today we have a special guest, Dr. Vibe. He has many hats. I am privileged. I am honored to have him here. So let's welcome one more time and hear more. So let's hear your introduction. Please have give us a some. I will go deeply, but I want to hear from you because
So,
I don't want to read it.
Savan is no, what he's telling you is let me get my bathing suit on before I jump into the pool. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. Well, look, thank you so much, and it's just an honor and a pleasure to be here to share on your platform about men, boys, manhood, fatherhood, etc. So I'll just give a little bit of a short background about myself. My name is Dr. Vibe. I'm the host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. I've been doing online conversations like this for the last 10 years. I've done over 2,000 of them. And in 2018, I received the Innovation Award given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I every month host online conversations for fathers that are co-sponsored by Dad Central, which is Canada's national fatherhood organization, and Dove Men Care. I have been an 8-year, every week contributor to a website called the Good Men Project, which is one of the most viewed sites in the world for men. And I'm the only podcast contributor that has a weekly slot on their platform. I also now am a certified facilitator for a parenting program for fathers called Super Dad, Super Kids. And I do that facilitation face-to-face and online. Anything else? Geez, I'm a mentor. I'm a certified empowerment coach. I'm now doing for an organization which I won't name because I can't remember them right now. I am now doing mentorship coaching for students in this coaching organization. And that's about it. And yeah, that's it for now. I could go deeper, but you say we only have an hour, and you want to get me into the pool, so let's go.
Definitely. So you are one of the reason or inspiration for me to do these things right now. Especially, I didn't expect, in the beginning, but whatever we are focusing or thinking over and over again, we can achieve it. So right now here are you. I have you here, and then
I'm here. You got me to open up. So make it
happen. Exactly. So we have we can see as you already heard. So he has a wide range of knowledge and experience, and he has so many things to share. So let's talk about your inspiration back. I want to take you back when you are 5 years or 10 years or 15 years old.
When I had hair.
Talk about those. Yes. Talk about those moments. Why did you want to get into this coaching or mentorship, especially, and also you are running so many things. So please.
Wow, that we could just spend the next hour just on that question. So what I'm going to say is, growing up, I'm my parents, and they're still alive. My father was a public school teacher for 38 years in the same public school. And my mother, when she retired, was a registered nurse at Mount Sinai Hospital, one of the best hospitals and a world-renowned hospital in downtown Toronto. And I knew it in me that I was going to be something involving people. But interesting enough, when I went to university, two interesting points. When I graduated from junior high, I received an award called the Proficiency Award, which meant excellence in athletics and excellence in scholastic. And I remember our graduation ceremony was being held outside on a lawn. And at that time, I received the award during the ceremony from the Minister of Education at that time. And I'm all happy, come off the stage, and what's the first thing my dad says to me? You would think my dad would say, "Congratulations." No, he said the first thing he said to me was, "You're going to university." I said, "Hold on, like that? I haven't even stepped into high school yet. You already have me going to university." So I'm going, okay, interesting. And my dad was very much into education, which many parents, especially parents of color, want their children to really strive with education. Cool. So he wanted me to become an accountant. And my personality now is pretty similar to what I was back when I was going into university. So in my first year of university, I ventured into accounting. Couldn't stand it. It was boring. I remember going into that lecture hall. I remember the professor saying, "Take a look at the person in front of you, behind you, to your left and to your right. By halfway through the year, two of those people be gone." I'm going, wow, that's so uplifting. Really, like a great positive attitude. And I didn't do well during my first term. So I made the decision right then and there I said to my dad, "Dad, I'm going to quit the accounting program and I'm going to take what I want and I'm going to pay for it."
Wow.
And the nice thing is that when I graduated from university, I was debt free. And what I did during the time is I worked on the university campus during the year, because I said, look, if this place is charging me money, Why don't I get some money from them to pay them back instead of like going up in debt? So that was the beginning of the journey. And during my university years, I started working at the college radio station, and I loved it. Absolutely loved the experience of college radio. Some great experiences, and eventually that molded into, after I graduated from university, I said, great, don't have to write these essays anymore. Don't have to read stuff that I don't have any understanding or don't care about. And I was walking along a street in Toronto, St. Clair Avenue, Street West. And in the St. Clair and Dufferin area, it doesn't exist anymore, but there was a bookstore called Burke's Bookstore. And two of the great pillars of the Black community in Toronto, Sam and Rita Burke, they're still alive today, but their bookstore was not only a bookstore, it was like a community hangout, get together. People could go by there, hang out, chat, etc. And the funny thing is they are still going strong today. They have a Toastmasters club in the same area that's been going on for at least 11 years. But when I went into their store one day, I hung out, sat down, and there was a book on the shelf. And I said, wow, this looks interesting. I've never seen this book in my college library or university library. And this was the book. Black Men, Obsolete, Single, and Dangerous. So I said, okay. So I pulled it off the shelf and I read the first chapter, bought the book, and read the book that same night.
Show me the book again.
Black Men, Obsolete, Single, and Dangerous, The African American Family in Transition, written by Haki Madhubuti. Now, the book was written back in 1990. And I said to myself, okay, some way, I want to be able to provide a place online back then where Black Canadian men could share their story, because many of the stories I saw of Black men at that time were entertainment, which means for like a musical performer or an athlete. And for those people saying, what do you mean an athlete's a performer? Well, an athlete's being paid to perform. So to me, that in front of a large crowd, that's an entertainer. Or unfortunately, you would see them in police involvement activities. I said, some way, somehow, I'm going to start the journey. And the first, and I'm maybe dating myself a little bit, but my first conversation online was about Michael Vick and the Dogs. So if people don't know who Michael Vick is, go check it out, Michael Vick and the Dogs. And all I had at that time was a laptop and a dream. And look where I am today. Wow. So I hope that gives you some context for your first conversation piece.
Exactly. No, it's a Kimi inspiration, and then where we pick that age, those days, you know, it's not really, it's everything mean to buy, right? Let's say it doesn't matter. Those days, those early childhood actually build somewhere. We don't, most of them, it's very hard to connect, go back and then connect. But some of them, you know, it's meant to be, everything happening for a reason. So in late years, it's absolutely, for right now, like you are in the radio show and then helping men, boys, so it's the huge inspiration, the strong background or the base is built in from your father and the mother also. So
they provided the foundation in regards, especially my father, in regards to communicating with people, helping people, being a people person. And I look at it that my dad spent, the other day, a few years back, I asked my dad, I said, Dad, like, how did you for 38 years, for the majority of those 38 years, drive downtown from Scarborough every day? And for those people who know, like Bathurst and College, that's deep downtown Toronto.
Yeah.
And do that every day. And he said, you know what? I had to take care of my family.
It's true.
Simple as that.
It's maybe it's in some ways, you can go back. It's not really exactly father's side, but you can go back and then look some of the teachers. You can remember whoever is watching. Those people made some inspiration somewhere down the road. We know.
Well, that brings another interesting story up that you want. A number of years ago, I went to my public school's 50th anniversary.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that was crazy because when I went in there, I go, like, I actually went to this place, like, like the library. We actually got books from this place. Like, it's the library's smaller than most people's living room back in the day. But the great story from that is that when I was walking around and looking at the old pictures and all that, was a old man standing in the door of the library, white gentleman. I go, who is this man? And he had a cane and all that. And I said, sir, like, I asked him, who are you? And he said, I'm Mr. So and so. And I go, you were my principal back in public school. He goes, yes. And he goes, and do you remember me? I said, yes, I do. And we sat down and had an incredible chat for about half an hour, and him sharing with me, our family was maybe like one of three black families in the school.
Wow.
And he shared with me how he was protective of us because there were some people in the neighborhood that didn't like us.
Right, right,
And it
right.
was just a really incredible conversation back then. And just to see the lengths that he went to make sure that we had the best we could in a school environment as possible.
So it's a really amazing story to hear because sometimes we cannot see or what I was going to say is, the teachers actually identify or see differently, and then they identify, okay, what this kid can do something, this kid can do something. So it's a very very heart touching stories when you go back and then see and then listen to those stories. Let me ask you another question about your father and son relationship. Not only just at home, but of course at the school. But when you grow up as a little boy, when you see him going through, and helping a lot of people, how did you see him? And then when you grow up, younger age, being a young man, what
Mhm.
is that transition like?
Well, my father, and even to this day, much a disciplined person, and but we had our challenging times. And hey, let me just put it out there that we had our challenging times. Um, one one of the things that, like, he was so school focused, and sometimes I felt more a student than his son.
Right.
Because I'm going, like, and I hope some people can realize. Yeah, I felt like I was like, this guy's treating me like a student. I'm like, I'm his son.
Yeah,
And when I was younger, and some of the people can relate to this, that he used to give me the strap when I misbehave.
yeah, yeah.
And it was bothering me for many years. And I guess I got into young adult age and I said, you know what? I got to find a way of letting this go. I have to get clarity with this.
Mm,
And one day he was there lying on his bed, and he's a big person into music. He's actually a member of the Vinyl Record Collectors Association Hall of Fame.
yeah,
He loves his music,
yeah.
and he was sitting there listening to his music. So I came up to him and said, Dad, I'm always going to love you. And, my love for you will never wane. But, when you used to give me the belt, it hurt and it hurt me. And he came back to me and said, you know what? That's the only way I knew how to raise you. That's the way I was raised. Clarity,
Yeah, yeah.
understanding. So those, and the sharing of the stories piece is very important. And I think I want to be an encourager, especially for men, to be comfortable to share their stories. I'm going to be sharing a lot of storytelling tonight, whether it's my own or others' stories that I've learned, seen, and grown from, in order to empower, enlighten, encourage, entertain, and educate people as much as I can. So our relationship has always gotten better. He regards me as his best friend, which is very humbling. Like, how many sons can have their father say that, you're my best friend? And to the point now where if I don't call him for 2 days, he'll call me up and say, you disown me or something? So we've grown, and like all relationships, we still have our challenging moments. But he said to me that he told me many years ago, you have a great quality that I don't have. And he goes, what? You listen to people. I said, well, Dad, the reason why is you're a teacher for so many years. You're just used to telling people what to do and not having them talk back to you. But I said, I'm a listener. You're a talker. And
so basically, you took in the opposite way.
yes, I took the opposite. So I hope that gave you and your audience, your community, some insight in regards to the early days of my father. And he had to work hard, but I've learned so much from him. I guess one of the greatest things I can say about him is that he has two friends that have been his best friends for over 70 years.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And one of the gentlemen, I took my dad a few weeks ago to one of the gentleman's birthday party was this gentleman's 85th birthday party, 85 years old. And at the end of the evening, people were asked to make speeches. So my dad went up there and he said two things. He says, I've known this man for longer than anybody here, including his wife. And he said that this man has been my best friend for 70 years.
Oh man, what else you need?
So I want to encourage men, do your best to have at least one. I believe every man should have 2 or 3 friends that know everything good about him and everything bad about him. And especially with the events that have gone on this year in 2020, relationship and friendship is even of more value, especially to our men out there, than it ever has been.
It's true. Very true. Very true. I completely agree. Some of the listeners or viewers, they may think, okay, why we want to share, I want to ask particular question about father and son relationship, and then why we need to talk about father relationship. But most of the times, if you look back, you never had a chance to talk to your father. If the father is no longer, you cannot share or you cannot go back and then think, okay, these are the things I'm missing. Who can I, or where can I, or whom to talk to or share. But this is one other way to heal. Just get it over it. Yeah, you don't want to carry the guilty feeling or the feeling forever, right? So this is just when you share with somebody else, it makes more sense. Also, you have to understand through the process, right? It's absolutely right. I completely agree.
Sivan, can I just add 2 things onto what you just said there about the father-son relationship?
Yeah.
2 things. First of all, a number of years ago, well, let me put it, the last day of January every year, there in Canada, we have a company called Bell Canada, one of the biggest telecommunication providers in Canada, if not the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
And they have something called Let's Talk Day. And
Mm-hmm.
on that day, all the proceeds that Bell generates that day go to mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And so 2 years ago now, or 3 years ago, on the last day in January, I was given the privilege and opportunity to host an event called Minding Our Minds.
Mm-hmm.
And what the event was for is to have Black fathers talk about mental health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So 2 days before the event, we only had 2 registrations.
Wow.
So I'm going to ask Sivan, how many men showed up on the day of the event? Well, take a guess.
Maybe 50 to 100.
I wish it was that much, but 40. So you're good. You're good. So 40 men showed up, and I call myself a share. I don't like to call myself a presenter.
Yeah.
I'm very like to be different. So I had my flip charts ready and everything. And I had an inspiration to ask a question. And I asked the men there, how many of you have or had a good relationship with your father? So Sivan, again, how many hands went up?
I don't know, 5, 10? No, not even 10.
2.
2, yeah. Wow.
So I put my flip chart away.
Yeah.
And that's where we were for 3 hours.
Wow. It's make me to think because my father passed away when he was 1.5 years old. So I didn't even because he has a blood cancer, and then
My
um,
condolences, by the way.
thank you. So we cannot blame on the other hand, but at the same time, there's somebody else replacing that space somehow. My uncle and father's brother and uncles, they were there, but whether they cannot fill it, no, it's not 100%. But somebody else will always replace. It doesn't matter. Somehow, somewhere, they will replace it. But it's a good thing, you talk about those, fathers and son relationship, because I want to ask you a specific question before we go to the next one, because um,
Sure.
why do you think that of course we know there are so many fathers, and then they grown in a different environment, they come across with a lot of challenges, but when we talk about it, they whether they want to they cannot get it over it, or they cannot agree, or okay, you know what, it's okay, father, they had a hard time, but at least it's happened, things happen in a life, but what's the reason why they cannot forgive?
Uh, I think part of it is there's that hurt, and also too, they may not have a community where they can talk these things out. And one of the things that I really pride myself when it comes to speaking, not even speaking, sharing with men,
Mm-hmm.
is a lot. There's we always hear the term safe space.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good. That's all right. But
yeah,
when it comes to many men, you not only have to have a safe space,
yeah.
a brave place, and also give them their give them permission to share.
Hmm. And do you agree, or do you feel there's a communication gap between father and son relationship?
So sometimes there is,
Yeah,
because many of us, when we're guys, when we're younger, we think we know more than our father, this, that, and the other thing, and there's other factors. You, Sometimes the father is not there in the relationship,
right.
so
Yeah, yeah.
there's many different dynamics to that. Like, and again, I've mentored many a man, many a father,
Hmm.
and I'll say this for men and women out there: one of the ways you can find out about a man is ask him about his relationship with his father.
Right. Yeah.
A
Yes.
lot of a lot of people don't do that.
Mm.
And I have found that that's one of the key questions that you can ask a man is what was or is your relationship with your father? And you'll find out, you'll get some answers to some things that you may not have an answer to. Especially when I'm doing mentorship with couples, and I'll ask a lady, well, have you ever asked him about his relationship with his father? No. Well, I think that may be an important thing.
Exactly. Because until we ask that question, or throw the question on, or open that question, we don't know what's out there, or what's on the other side of the story. We don't have any clue.
Yeah,
Um,
because one of the terms I use is we emulate what we replicate.
Yeah, yes. Also, I just want to add one more thing, because it's not, it's easier blame to somebody, or pointing them somebody, because it's when you turn back, it's only you can see father figure. So you know what, because of the father, I can't do things, or I had this. But we don't realize, or we never thought about how his life was, and then how
Yeah.
his father's life was, like my father's fathers, and then you can go back a little more, but we never thought about it, or we never bothered with asking those questions, how their traveling, or how their journey went through.
Yeah. Well,
So
I think it's a great point, and that's one of the things I've realized over the last number of years of my journey. I spend time with my father, and I get to hear not only his story, but
mm,
there's a number of people I will probably never meet in my family,
mm,
for either the rest in power,
yeah.
or especially now, who knows when travel is going to be available again.
Mhm.
He is living history. So I
Yes.
want to encourage the gentleman boys, men out there, especially if your father's still alive and you know, hopefully you have a good relationship with him, ask him to share some of his story or some of the family story. You don't have to watch your HDTV to check history. There's history right in your family that you should know about. I really want to say, and the sharing of stories, one of the most powerful things boys and men can do is have a relationship with your elders. Intergenerational conversation is something that we're missing out on. And when I went to the Northwest Territories earlier this year, it was really shown to me that I was blessed to share at a 3-day event that was been put on by the Northwest Territories Social Services Department.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning, pardon me, and end of each session,
Yeah.
each day, they would have an elder give a prayer.
Wow. Wow.
Powerful. And they also had a 2-hour session of elders talking about their experiences of raising children. Powerful stuff. So I want to encourage the boys and men's out there. Not everything you're going to learn in a book, right? There's, when you get it from someone, that's real life, and that's evaluated experience. A book is only going to teach you so much.
That's one of the reason I really I just want to add one more thing. That's one
Sure,
of the
add as much as you can. It's your show.
That's one of the reason I really want to bring because I can bring some books and then I can share this and this and this. But when we when we bring people and then when they share their life journey and then experience some incident, some situations, it's a totally different dimension you can go. It's a really different experience rather than just reading from the book because you are alive and then you are just sharing that lively, so we can relate to that story and relate to that situation. Though that's one of the reason I really want to bring people, and then I want to listen more and more. I want to take you to the education side when you are growing up a young boy, and then let's say on the high school or university level. Have you personally had a challenge, or I'm talking about from the men's or boys side, or have you come across or any witness or any experience cases, in any challenges moments?
When I was a younger man?
Yeah.
Or others what I see as younger men, it wasn't too challenging. I was loved, I was cared for. My parents cared for me. Something to think a little bit too much, but I don't regret it now. I enjoyed it. I had a good upbringing, and Black parents, middle class parents. That's still to these days. It's not as much a rarity. Back then it was, but they were hardworking parents. Had an education. My parents made sure that, education was number one, etc. It was a good time. Like, I didn't get exposed to too many negative things.
Okay.
So it was good. Now, if you want to pull up examples of today in charge of challenging and overcoming, again, before we went live, I said over the last few years, I've mentored a number of younger fathers, and a number of them have got better through, I just mentor them. They do the work, but I make sure and help them get to achieve their goals. Even if it's a little goal, that's an achievement. To add light to their life is a really important thing. And I also, too, especially with the younger men out there, I think a lot of them don't have, quote, a father figure in their lives. Or if they do have one, he's present, but he doesn't have presence.
Right. I understand.
Right. Yeah. So if I can provide presence for them, and one of the easiest ways is just listening to them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my next question is like, moving to general. Let's talk about the boys and men's what they are facing nowadays. Last number of years, of course, you come across a lot of cases, or you helped a lot of young men, and then of course middle men too. But what's the pattern, or what's a major challenge that you see in the youth, any age group, but mainly let's talk about the youth. What do you see in the,
I think there's a myriad of challenges. I think some of them, a number of them don't feel that they have a future. They don't know where they're going to end up. Especially, there's also for those youth that are racialized,
okay, okay,
they see that like this is a pretty big mess out here, and a lot of them and many youths, regardless of color, they look at the life or what their parents have gone through. They don't want to go through that. So
right,
again, you take the example of, they may have parents that have worked years at the same job. They don't want to do that. That isn't their life. So a number of them are even more so in the world of immediate gratification. They want things fast. They change, and sometimes that's good, but sometimes that's not good. And I think a number of young people
hmm,
have, how can I put it, are not willing to do the work.
right, right, right,
They and I'm not saying all of them, just a number of them. Uh, they it's not an easy road out there, and when reality strikes, are they prepared to handle it?
hmm. So they're not ready to face the failure. In other
Yeah,
words,
yeah, and you know what? And that's a really good point, Savannah. I when I share with people, I say failure is a moment; it's not a person.
no,
And you're going to have times where you're not going to succeed, but those are the times that you really get a chance to prove how bad do you want it. Like if you want to be the head of the class, as I said, you want to wear the crown. It's good to wear the crown, but how strong is your neck?
yeah, yeah, absolutely,
Right. So I think part of it is society
yeah,
giving them some wrong cues.
yeah,
Um, Part of it at times is the parents, because a lot of parents, they have to work so hard. It's such a the interaction isn't there as much now. In 2020, it's changed a little bit because kids are home more now.
yeah, yeah,
Well, up and over the last few months, they were home more now, and I'm very inquisitive to see how have family relationships changed, if any, over the last few months.
hmm,
Where I've spoken to a number of mothers and fathers. They're at home all the time, and this and that, and there'll be many a parent, mother, father, or both, or co-parenting. They
yeah,
say, "Wow, teachers have it rough." Really? They just realize that now? Like I knew that. I lived with a teacher until I moved out of his house. So I knew how rough it was. I knew how rough it was then, and it's even more challenging now. And we're really, this year
yeah,
is very unique because I don't think we'll live through another period of time where there was an event,
hmm,
the C word, because I don't like saying it because you hear it all the time in the media,
yeah.
that has affected every person directly or indirectly.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was going to say that. I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, and some fathers
Yeah,
have done okay.
yeah,
An example, there's a gentleman who lives around the corner from me. He does HVAC
yeah,
work for a known company, but I'm not going to give the name of the company
right,
here. And
yeah,
about 2 weeks ago, I said, like, how you handling, the last few months? So he says, well, there was a period of time I was only working 3 days a week, but he said, you know what? I've had so much fun with my daughter. Like
yeah,
I've taught her to ride a bike, taught her to ride a bike with training wheels. And they said, and I also taught her to ride a motorbike. I go, what? She's only 7 years old. He goes, yeah, but she's okay. So, well, I hope she's wearing a helmet. Come on now. And he said, yeah, but those are the stories that I'm speaking that we hear more of during this time. But we know there's some other stories.
hmm,
It's the stories. Those stories are the ones I'm really concerned about.
yeah,
And I've had a few sessions where it's been quite serious. Some of the unfortunate effects of families being together so much where it's sort
yeah.
of exploded and become not too good of a situation.
No. Well, I was going to add one thing. What do you think? Like, is it part of course, it's a society, but also the youth or the younger crowd, they are not really focused, or they are not really in the empowerment. Is it part of the media
Yeah,
influence, right?
yeah. Well, compare and respectfully, I don't like to talk about people's age, but we're probably a little bit older than most young people. But we're as good as them.
Yeah,
We got our chops.
yeah.
That there are more distractions
Uh,
that
uh,
they are exposed to than
right,
when we were growing up their age.
right.
And I'm a firm believer that over the last number of years,
Hmm.
thousands of years,
Right.
the average capacity and IQ of a human brain has pretty much stayed the same.
Yeah,
But the
yeah,
amount of information that our brains have to consume has grown exponentially.
yeah, yeah.
So what's going to happen there? Some people are going to be able to adapt. Other people's are going to stay the same. There's other people that are going to fall through the cracks.
Mm.
So
Right.
we have to realize that sometimes progress is not a good thing.
Yeah, compared to, like some of the corporations, we cannot see anymore. They are not,
Yeah.
they are not in the picture anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So we really have to take a good look at where we're at. And my concern is that after this period of time, things will not go back to as they were, because they aren't, period. They aren't. But what's next, and what have you learned,
Mhm.
and how are you going to be better?
Right, right. Yeah, we don't need everything on the planet. We don't need to. We cannot. Only certain things we need it. In order to survive or in order to do better. So many people think or put too much pressure on themselves, and then they want to learn. But at the end of the day, after learning, if you don't apply, what's the point of having the learning?
You got to apply it, and I just encourage people, especially, enjoy the journey.
Yep.
Don't enjoy it when you reach your destination. Enjoy the journey.
Exactly, exactly. When you are in the gasket, you cannot enjoy anything.
You're not going to be asking for more money. You're going to ask for more time.
Exactly. So let's talk about the middle-aged married man, or just,
Middle-aged men.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what their mental challenges. Of course, you have been working with them, and then you have been helping in many ways. Talking to them, or coaching them in many ways. But let's talk about what's the main mental challenge. What they're.
Oh, wow. Again, another hour-long conversation piece. I'm going to give you a very interesting thought.
Yeah.
Many men
Yeah.
like things straight.
Mm.
1 + 1 = 2.
Right.
2 + 2 = 4. A,
Right.
B, C, D, E, F, G.
Right.
A number of men don't like things when they're unbalanced.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are 2 times for many men where life is unbalanced.
Mm.
One time is probably, when he either graduates from high school or university. He's not a young boy anymore, but he's not a man.
Mm.
That instability can't define. Then there's the midlife crisis.
Yes. Yes.
You get men who are in their 40s, maybe 50s or whatever, and they have an expectation that they be at a certain place at this time, and they're not there.
Right.
Now, the
Right.
thing is, they're not a young man anymore, but they're not old yet.
Mm.
Instability.
Right.
So a lot of times with those 2 areas or those 2 time periods, men are trying to get back what they weren't able to get. They feel that they're missing out, the fear of missing out.
Mm.
Or as the young people say, FOMO, right? I know my acronyms, FOMO. So they feel that they've missed out.
Right.
And one of the things I'm seeing slowly but surely, especially during 2020, many men are reevaluating what's important in their life.
Mm.
Many men, because they're spending time with their family,
Yeah.
are getting to know their family better and develop better relationships with their family.
Right. Right. That's a huge part. I mean, there's very positive change in a way.
It's an opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a definite opportunity to
Well, that's a flip side of the pandemic. The coronavirus actually made
yeah.
it.
No, and see, but I'm a firm believer of taking advantage of opportunities. There's a gentleman named Robert S. Smith. He's the richest Black American right now. His worth is over like $5 billion.
Wow.
And he was interviewed a few months ago, and he asked if he had any last words for the audience, and he said, "Don't waste this crisis."
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, well, that's where I started. Of course, we didn't never take a time to walk with the children or family. But nowadays, morning and evening, last a couple of months, walking and then we having fun. I mean, I heard, especially nowadays, the last couple of months, it's a very, very high demand for the bicycle or
Oh
any
yeah.
activities. So it's a good thing, very very good thing, very positive thing. So one other thing is you also see that the high ratio of suicidal when it comes to male. So
Hmm.
what would be the reason, and then how did you have you come across any situations, any experience, when you teach or when you talk to any of those people?
Yeah, I to just put some stats out there that oh, 80% of the suicides for people over 40 are committed by men.
Right. Yes.
And also 80% of the teenage suicides are by young boys.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that somewhat correlates to what I said yesterday about those two times in life that many men
Hmm.
are not feeling balanced or not feeling, they don't feel they're on the straight. They're not certain. There's a
Right.
correlation in some ways with that. There are, how can I get, I'm going to give a story here. This wasn't a suicide, but it was an unfortunate event.
Hmm.
About 2 years ago, a gentleman came to me wanting to get some mentorship.
Hmm.
At the time, he had limited access with his children.
Okay.
And he was asking me, I want to be a better parent. So he came in and he spoke with me. And, I was impressed with him because he had a little bit of a financial debt, which many of us do, but
That's it.
he had a game plan on how to resolve it. He was doing Uber, he was doing Uber Eats, had a game plan. And I said, that's fantastic. Like, better off than at least 50% that I have of the men I have to mentor.
Yeah.
He had a game plan.
Hmm.
And I said to him, well, you see your kids on the weekends. What do you do with your kids when you're with them? Well, I just watch them play. I go, really? I said, like, they want, and I go, why do you do that? And he says, well, I'm an introvert. I said, you know what? One of the greatest things that you can do for your life and your children's life is engage with them.
Yeah.
You're only around them 2 to 3 hours a week.
Hmm.
And I said, just because it's 2 to 3 hours a week, it's not how much you spend, how much time you spend with your young people. It's what you do in that time you're spending with young people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I said to him, so how do you think you can change that? And he goes, I don't know. I don't know. I said, let me give you a real big brainstorm of an idea. Ask them what they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he left. We had a great session. And next week he comes in, smiles on his face. Big smiles on his face. I go, like, can I buy some of your happiness? Like, what's going on here? And he said, well, I took that suggestion, I acted upon it, and I bought some games for my kids, and we had so much fun, and it was great, it was fantastic, etc. I said, yes, great. So after we stopped seeing each other for a period of time,
Yeah.
and I'd say after about 3 or 4 months, there was an evening where I was going to be holding a session for some fathers. I had a guest speaker
Hmm.
who was a family lawyer.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's about 20 minutes before the session's supposed to start. Lawyer hasn't showed up.
Hmm.
So I called the lawyer and I said, is everything okay? He said, did you see the message I sent you? I go, what message?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Now, this lawyer was the same lawyer of the gentleman who I just mentioned.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
So I look at the message. That father who left cheery out of my conversation with him was arrested for shooting some individuals in a nightclub.
Oh man. Wow.
And I had no idea. I did not see that in him. And I care about the men I help or I mentor and help. And sometimes it's not always successful. And then when the lawyer shared that news with me that day, I had to sit in my chair, my office for about a few minutes and just do some reflection. And I'll be honest, I feel somewhat bad that I don't know where that father is now.
Yeah.
But I should probably touch base with that lawyer and see where that father is right now and just sit with him because and I'm not going to ask like, what did you do? I just say, how are you doing?
Right. Of course. Yeah.
Because we have to accept men where they're at, not where we want them to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because let alone I'm not where I want to be. So I don't want people to like speak on to me. Oh, you should be doing this. Hold on a second. You don't know my story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, not to say there's maybe some things that I haven't done, but investment in relationships is the most important thing for men, for boys, investing in the relationship. And a lot of times men and boys, we're out doing so many different things. Oh, we got to do this. We got to do that. We got to do that. That we have to realize that we have to put some validation in ourselves. Because if you're not good here, you can't be good with somebody else.
No, you're right. Yeah. That's bring one to another question though.
Sure.
What you see, what did you learn, or how do you see the openness with boys? It can be either small, younger boys, or growing men, or even adult. What's because I see, I never had until I met Jerome, and then I never thought about okay, men's we have so much things or so many issues in our world. But of course, in generally speaking, okay, what we have this and this mental illness or anything. But until I was listening to his speech, I never thought about it. And then,
But see right there, most
yeah,
of us don't think about it. We don't think we don't think many men have challenges because I don't like the word issue. I like challenges because I
right.
feel that we can work through challenges, and that I feel that sometimes they're not asked. There's a lot probably in society. Hey, guys got it okay. They're this, that, and the other thing. Well, that's certainly changing because you're seeing more media coverage, more organizations like your own that are wanting to find out the heart of men.
Right.
Right. And so I think that's part of it. And again, some of men have been raised not to share their challenges.
Well, I don't blame. I mean, not some of them. It's in many culture. I see the pattern. I mean, when I talk to them in it doesn't matter either in Asia or in black communities or any white communities. There's no difference. It's all are same. End of the day, there's a pattern. It's the same pattern everywhere. Last thousand years. It's that's the way the society, the culturally, even religion wise, this is built in. It's so wrapped in a circle, so we cannot really go out or
You said some important things there. Circles are better than rows. And one of the things I really propel is having men's circles, whether it's digitally or face to face, is great. Also, in regards to, and I'll pick up on what you said. I've had conversations with hundreds of men of all different backgrounds, all different races. A lot of them have the same challenges.
Yeah.
A lot of them have the same challenges. And whether it's because of them, because of influences on their lives, a lot of them have the same challenges. And I meet more and more men these days, they just feel that they're not being heard or not being respected or not being acknowledged.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was going to ask you a little bit, go deeper on the openness. You know, what are the barriers or the blockage? You know, why it's hard to. I understand some points, and then some say, situations. You know, I do understand, but when you talk to them, you know, one on one or even in the group, of course, you come across with a lot of situations. You know, they want to open, but they don't want to open. They cannot open. So, what do you see actually, personally? You know.
Well, again, for many, well, not again, but for many men, trust issues,
Hmm.
ego,
Right.
pride.
Mm-hmm.
Like a number of men don't want to admit they failed
Hmm.
because that to them is like a sign of weakness.
Yep.
But again, failure is a moment, not a person. And I'm a firm believer many times you learn more by what you didn't achieve
Hmm.
than what you did achieve.
Yep. Of course. Yeah.
And again, there's a lot of lonely men out there because they don't feel like they're listened to, respected, etc. And I don't I think men have to be the ones that control their narrative.
Hmm. Right.
That you have to control your narrative. Do not let other people define it for you.
Hmm.
You've got to control your narrative. You have to be, you're either going to be your best friend or your worst enemy.
Yeah.
And naturally, many of us are harder on ourselves more than we need to be at times. We just have to realize that, okay, I made a mistake. What it, you know, what's happening? Why did it happen? And what can I do about it?
Right.
If we
When
can,
Go ahead.
that's one of the things that I share with, when you're in a situation, man or boy, what's happening? Why is it happening? And what can you do about it?
Right. See, end of the day, it's a soul is a soul. There's no difference between male or female. You know, we don't. You know, when we somebody pass away, there's no. You know, we
Well,
don't.
but here's another thing. There's an interesting situation there. You brought up an example when someone passes away. More often than not, the lady will outly show emotion more than the guy.
Yep.
I'll give you a very interesting situation that happened that I think I'm sure not too many people watching this live on the replay will ever see or have seen. A number of years ago, um, the gentleman who I told you my dad's known for 70 years, they've been best friends.
Hmm.
That gentleman's one of his two sons, older son, passed away, cancer in the nose.
Hmm. Wow.
We went to the service in a church, and this is a number of years back. Can you believe that during the service, 50 men went up on stage and sang a song in tribute for that man?
Wow. Wow.
That, even now, when I say that, gets me very emotional. I will never forget that. And that's what I want to see the world of men be like. That you have at least two or three men, again, who are your best friend or your worst enemy.
Mm.
One of my mentors, actually going to put a challenge out to the men out there. One of my mentors taught me this a while back. When I first met him, he mentioned something called a living eulogy.
Right. Right. Right.
And what he meant by that is he said, Dr. Vibe, don't you notice that a lot of times we save the best we want to say to someone
Mm.
in their eulogy?
Yeah.
Why aren't we saying that to them when they're alive?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Of course, it's you know, we are not here to hear that. At least we can hear while we are here.
And actually, it's actually interesting because when he introduced that to me, he actually came on my online conversation, and he did that live with someone he's been coaching with for 10 years. Incredible experience. Incredible seeing two men. Well, actually, the gentleman that he's mentoring coaching, he gave his living eulogy to him. And that was just a moment in time that I'll never forget. And whenever I share the living eulogy concept, most people go, wow, like that's just unheard of. They think it's a brilliant idea. And I've actually performed that with one or two of my friends. And my father and I are in the process of doing it. And when I introduced that idea to my dad, he says, I like it. I like it so much. I'd like to do it with you via video.
I just want to, add one thing here because I just remember there's one gentleman I did a talk show about a couple of weeks back. He's from India. He's a NLP trainer, coach. He's been doing the last 20, 25 years. And then he was saying exactly the same way you did. He challenged, he put a challenge out to men and even for the whole family that they say, while the men are alive, why we cannot celebrate? Why we don't celebrate? We should celebrate while they are alive, not after they're gone.
Well, here's another thing here right now. Again, 2020, challenging year. Are the men who are watching this live on the replay, have you made a call to 2 or 3 men and just ask how they're doing? We don't want to find out about their work.
Yeah.
Just how are they doing?
Yeah. Just one or two questions. That's it. Nothing else.
There's a gentleman who leads a fathers group. I'm not going to get too deep into that. And we spoke about a month or two ago, and he says he's freaking out because he hasn't had a face-to-face conversation with another man for 3-4 months. And he's like personally just freaking out.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I want to hear more, but of course, we a little bit over 1 hour.
I have more time if you want. It's up. Like I said, I'm your guest, so I cleared the time because I'm very passionate about this subject. So I've cleared the deck. It's up to you.
Let's take a few more questions. Sure. I really want to bring at least one or two stories from those trainings or coaching. I just want to feel the experience, the process you made in their lives. As somebody actually they had so much challenge, even in extreme cases. But after a while, I did this and this. You don't have to go through details, but at least in some ways. And then after a while, it's just the life is completely changed.
Sure.
Now it's turn into 360 degrees. So just if you have any stories, I'm pleased to hear.
Yeah, a number of years ago, it was funny. Got a call from a gentleman saying, "Hey, I hear that you help fathers." I go, "Yeah, I do good once in a while." He says, "Well, there's a friend of mine who needs some help." I go, "Okay." I said, "Well, if he wants to contact me, this is my phone number." Like 2 minutes later, I get the call from the gentleman. I go, "Okay." Like this is rapid fire. So long story short, this gentleman has been with this lady for a number of years. They have kids from previous relationships and also have some children from their own relationship.
Right.
But it seemed the relation between one of the children from each one of their previous relationships had gotten really bad. And it then got to the point that for some strange reason, I don't know, was it the lady had the boy who was being beat up on by the older sister in for psychiatric tests.
Really?
I'm going, what? So we did some mentorship sessions together, and I asked, I got him to write down step by step by step by step and he came up with the ideas. I just said, well, what do you need to do next? What do you need to do next? Step by step by step. So he went out, did his stuff. And then what's about a month later, he comes in one day and there's just this young bush of hair, young boy with him. And he goes, "Hey, how you doing?" I go, "Fine." He goes, and it was the son that he told me about that was being examined for psychiatric issues. And he said, "Hey, son, this is the guy that helped you get out of hospital."
Wow.
Powerful. Powerful. You know, really, really, really good. And those are the moments you live for. Those are your whys. So when you have those challenging times, you can reflect on those moments and say, great. If you want, I can give you another one.
Yeah, I want to ask before I forget two questions. So, say there's somebody message very informative inside the session. Thank you, thanks.
Thank you right back. I appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. What I was going to ask is, when you come across those situations or actually sitting down with one-on-one, even youth or adult men, have you had a chance to, or how did you deal with the only the person you are dealing with, the person, or also the sometimes a wife or any other family member? How's the process like? Because sometimes or most of the times you cannot just talk to one person, though you
No.
may need to talk to one or more person in the same family. So talk about that. How do you handle it, or what did you come across?
Well, I'm exposed to situations where I only hear from one
Yeah.
or both. Now, if I get the opportunity with both, I want to sit down with each one of them separately first,
Right. Yeah.
because there's always he said, she said, and the truth.
Yeah.
So the first thing I will do is, if they want to meet,
Hmm.
I let them get everything out.
Right.
I'm not saying, okay, you got 50 minutes. No, there
No.
have been moments where I've met a man for the first time and he has not stopped sharing for 2 hours.
Right.
But I realize that he's got a lot on his heart and he probably hasn't had the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, and I'd rather have him get all that stuff out in a safe,
Hmm.
brave space,
Yeah.
and I get permission to get his permission for him to share his story to me.
Hmm.
So then I'll hear the other person's other half story,
Hmm.
and then I'll bring them together.
Right.
I'll say, okay, I've heard this, I heard that. We're here, and the first question I'll ask them is, do you want things to be better? Because if they don't want things to be better, that's going to be a real tough climb.
There's no point continue with
No
it.
point, right? So I want to start on a foundation where we have something in common, where they want things to be better. And then it may take some sledding. So
Yeah.
it's tough, and it's not always successful either.
Yeah.
Want to be real here, folks. It not always works out, but we work together to try to get to. And I say, you want things to be better, and then I will ask them, if things were better, what would they look like?
Right.
And if they don't agree, then we got to just land right there and say, okay, we want to say what, and a lot of times in sessions like that, they have never heard what the other person said before.
Right. I just want to jump in there. A very interesting point you said. When you ask the questions, they always want to. They want us to say it, but they know inside. They
You
know.
want them to say it. You want them to say it. Like I said, like I shared before, I think we said, you're there to steer the ship. They're there to drive the ship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the important thing. And if there are children involved, I will say, whether it's just a father, whether it's just a mother, I will tell them, everything you do is going to have a good or bad effect on your children.
Yeah.
When I've had the opportunity to mentor and help men, many times they mess up when they're thinking about themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When they realize their actions have a potentially long-term impact on their children, a light bulb goes on.
Yeah.
It's not just affecting me anymore. Oh, my kids, what are they going to think? Da, 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 da. Because again, they emulate what they replicate.
Exactly.
So sometimes getting them to get out of their own world is a very key point.
Right. Um, let's talk about. I want to ask you another question about of course, there's two questions I want to ask, but before we go into the next one, see the actual growing up or having the relationship at home between the father or the mother, the child. It doesn't matter either boy or girl, but also the teaching or that part has to start from the family. In the like, okay, you know what, even there's a boy, there's a certain things you had to understand, because back in those days, like girls are separated and boys are separated, and then they only teach certain things to girls. They take care of more about girls and things. They do it or favor it or whatever you call it. They care about more about girls, but boys no. So the conversation or the dialogue has to start from the home, from the family within the circle though. So let's talk about that. Of course, you have been through a lot of cases, so let's talk about that.
So I just want to make clear that what you're asking in regards to um, maybe the potential lack of attention put on boys as compared to girls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So interesting. We mentioned that uh, people may or may not realize it, but you probably will know when I share it with you that 80% of the public school teachers out there are women.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So take that whatever way you want, but a lot of boys don't see the man figure in the classroom. And especially in their years when they're going to school, a lot of times they spend more time in school,
Yeah.
whether it's offline or online, than with you.
Exactly. Well, there's a one finding or one recent article I just posted about yesterday or day for yesterday from Vancouver. They're saying there's not enough or no male teachers on the virtual learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very true. Very true.
I had a session this afternoon with an organization of high school teachers, all ladies. And not saying nothing's wrong with that, but I think there's opportunities to improve the experience. Now, it's a whole other conversation about men and teaching, why they're not getting into teaching. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But I want our parents as much as possible to pay attention to what their boys are doing. You will learn as much from them by what they don't say than what they do say. See what their behaviors. If you can, keep a watch on what sort of media, traditional and social media, they're watching. They can get very much wrapped into that. We need, I will say this and people can push back on me, the better our boys are and the better our men are, the better our world will be.
Exactly.
So if people want to push back on me on that, I have no problem, but I'm not going to move from that. So I think that we need to, and just simple things that anytime the boy is coming home from school or obviously virtual school, just asking, how was your day?
Yeah.
Simple things. Sometimes we make this so complicated. Just how was your day? What are you working on? Is there anything I can help you with?
Right. Yeah. There's nobody is to hear or ask them. That's the missing part, I believe. Somebody else also said 100% agree. Yes, of course. The other thing I want to ask you is let's talk about the Me Too movement or anything feminism or whatever the people are dragging all over the world. But I just wonder, why not enough recognition or more challenges when we go through or when we try to get the word out about men's issues or men's matters, because you have been working and then speaking in a lot of places, and then you met a lot of people too. So what's the lacking, or what's the out there, man? I really don't. I really don't get it.
Well, let's put it this way. Again, some of the things is that men are okay. They're all right. Again, when I go and share my passion with audiences out there, at least most of the time, 75% of the audience is women.
Right, right.
And I wish I had more men to mentor. And sometimes you have, and again, there's a lot of men out there that are screaming and nothing coming out. And they don't want to take that first step of committing themselves to a better life.
Right.
I think, I'm going to be hosting a conversation with the gentleman I told you who introduced the living eulogy with me last year. And he's going to be talking about men. What are your commitments?
Right.
What are they committed to? And again, there's this premonition, that this thought, oh, men's okay. A lot of men aren't okay.
Yeah.
They need to be in an environment where they can pull their mask off.
Yeah.
Because a number of men that I've helped over the years, it's been tiring for them to keep that mask on.
Yeah.
It's wearing them out, and just giving them space to just speak what's going on.
Even before we born, especially I'm talking about boys in the any part of the country or any part of the world. Even before we born, come to this earth, universe, and then the society, the culture, and everything is they teach or they say it. Okay, you know what? Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry.
But let's just hold on that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if a boy who turns into a man hasn't cried for 40 years? Can you imagine what's stuck inside?
Oh man.
And if and when that gets released, how's it going to come out?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying, earlier. So end of the day, the soul is soul. So why, as I said, why men or boy cannot cry? Why we cannot let it?
Because they've been told it's not the right thing to do, instead of being told it's the real thing to do.
Exactly. So the pressured, the controlled tears has so many thousands of stories, pain, and the pain means it's not just a pain I'm talking about, just a social pressure and family pressure and anything you can name it. It's so much pressure, under control, and sometimes over the time, what will happen is over pressured, that explode in many different ways. So
that's what happens. Like whenever you hear about men committing negative events, maybe I'll get into this. This will be one of my next parts of the journey of sitting down with them and saying, why did you do that? And then start delving deeper. What was your life growing up like, et cetera, et cetera. And most of the time you'll hear events that have added up, because it's not the big things, it's the little things that happen that add up to the big things that can sometimes lead into not so positive events in a man's life.
Exactly. And also, it's not only men. We want to talk about men's issues always, but also the ladies or the women. They had to come out, and then they had to understand, what's going on. And
that's the thing, and I feel for the ladies, because a number of ladies say, I can't figure them out. So I provide suggestions on how they can figure them out, hopefully. And sometimes I say, can you come in and help? Sure.
Exactly, because I heard in my own community, that sometimes they joke it, but a lot of times I heard this sentence, like, oh yeah, because the men can handle things, and then they are taking as a pride, they can handle the family issues. They can handle his own issues. They can have all, any kind of responsibility, all kind of responsibility he can handle it. But come on, that's it's you know.
Well, you know what a lot of people have to realize, that two things: that every Superman has his kryptonite,
Yeah,
and also that many men out there they want to be Superman, and they're just Clark Kent wanting to be better every day.
right, exactly. See, absolutely. We talk about a lot of things, friends, folks, today. But within 1 hour or 2 hours, we cannot really bring one person's life here, right? We cannot share that much stories here. But we want to bring him in another time, and then I want to ask more questions, and then we can understand more things from different perspectives, because it's not just a one journey or one message can influence everybody's. So I really appreciate Dr. Vibe today for being here and then sharing these moments, especially when you talking about your father, when you talk about your friends and families and the people you are helping. It is so much means to us, so many people. Of course, if not today, they can watch in the future, at least somewhere, somehow, in those minutes, at least one message can enough to influence you to take some in a positive way. Maybe maybe it won't help you directly, but it will help somebody when you share with other person though. So that's the whole motive, whole objective of behind this episode, or this live talk, open up. So see, this is today I'm really thrilled. I'm actually more than happy to to be part of this conversation, because I had so many questions, and then I know he has so many answers, and then he
once
can.
in a while, once in a while I hit the bullseye.
So that's the way we learn from each other. That's the way we learn from each other, because somewhere, somehow, that message can get through. So folks, again, there's no limitation with the gender or age or any nationality. You can come and you can share. We do it on Sundays, especially on Sundays, for open up from 10 to 10:30 every week. Actually, right now I'm booking for mid or third week of November. So until then,
Whoa, you got lots going on.
I have I have people from different part of the world, not from here. Tomorrow we're going to have another session from I believe he's from Ghana or Nigeria. So there are different part of the world. There people are coming. So I really encourage everybody. Today we have, on Saturdays we have a special show, because Dr. Vibe, people like him, he cannot come on Sundays. So I rarely come, bring some people, whoever cannot come on Sundays. I bring them on Saturdays from 8:30 to whatever they can be here, because middle of this is not a business call or business meeting here. So this is a live sharing. So that's why I don't want to cut anybody off when they start to share, when they start to telling about their personal stories or any other situations. It is not profession, and also I don't want to stop the feeling, the flow, because I am in the process too. So again, on Sundays we have open up a live talk. As I said, 10 a.m. to 10:30. It's a Canadian time, EST, Eastern time, and also I do it in Tamil language on Wednesdays from 7:30 to 8 o'clock. That's on Wednesdays every week, and Saturdays from 8:30 to 9 p.m. or whatever the time we can do it. All right, friends. So continuous support, and also looking forward to.
Can I just close with something?
Please go ahead.
Well, two quick things. First of all,
Yeah.
since I like to say what's going on in my existence, I'm going to take a picture of us in real time.
Right.
All right.
Maybe I will do
Okay.
it.
And I'd like to say thank you for taking the time to allow me to share with your audience. And thank you for the work that you have done, will do, well, have done, are doing, and will be doing. I'm certainly, to the best of my abilities, here to serve you and your community. And a few things at the end of every conversation, I always like to say, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. And just ask a man, how you doing? I leave with that. And if you want to find out or get in contact with me, my website is thedrvibeshow.com, and my email address is dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. I am going to add.
Oh, one other thing too.
Go ahead.
Catch me every month hosting conversations for fathers that are co-sponsored by Dad Central and Dove Men Care. Go to the Dad Central Facebook page, and you'll see monthly conversations that I host. They've been going on since March.
Just quickly, just 2 minutes. Give a brief, a couple of lines about your show. I really missed that. I wanted to ask you from the beginning. I forgot that. Please.
That's okay. That's why I'm here to watch your back. So which one, the Dr. Vibe Show or the Dove Men Care? Which one?
Both of them. Give me a few.
Okay, so the Dove Men Care. Long story short, almost a year ago, I was at the Toronto International Film Festival. There was a film that premiered called Dads. Wow. And it was a documentary about fathers, and some of the fathers that were profiled in it, one of them was Will Smith.
Oh man.
And I found out about the screening. I missed the screening because I didn't even know it was happening. And I found out, and I reached out to the PR agency for Dove Men Care. Long story short, that led, and I'm a representative of Dad Central, which is Canada's national fatherhood organization. And my initial conversation with them led me, along with the director for Dad Central Ontario, that we produce this monthly online conversation for fathers that is now co-sponsored by Dad Central and Dove Men Care. It's been an incredible relationship. And believe it or not, there is no other relationship like that in any other country in the world that Dove Men Care has its products. So Canada is the only country where there are monthly conversations for fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care. And I get to host each month, and we've covered different subjects. We did one last week about dads readjusting for kids going back to school. Well, actually, the last one we did was about paternity leave. We've done about fatherhood and racism. We've done about dads getting used to kids not being in school and dads coming with kids going back to school. I think we did, if you go to the Dad Central Facebook page, there's a list of them there, and the replays are also available on YouTube. The Dr. Vibe Show, as I said, started about over 10 years ago with a laptop and a dream. I've had over 2,000 conversations of all different types on that platform. I've also started 2 other conversations now. I have weekly conversations, 5 p.m. every Sunday afternoon, called Black Canada Talking, where I spotlight a Black Canadian. And this was during this time where everybody was inside. I come up with new opportunities. And I've started a series called Black Men Talking, where I do one-on-one conversations with Black men around the world. So if you go to my website, it is all there.
Absolutely. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for allowing me to share that.
I'm going to add, actually put those information when we finish our live show, because they can get to know that I shared actually a couple of times your Dr. Vibe Show on platforms, a couple of them, because I know the notification. So I right away I shared that link so they can get to know that. because I personally been in one or two session, and then I was so amazed with the speakers though. So so many speakers, I cannot
Well,
even.
it's all about relationships,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
majority of people that I've had on the Dr. Vibe show, I'm probably never going to physically meet. Like
right,
90% of the people I've had on my online show, I will probably never physically meet.
yeah.
But again, providing them a comfortable environment to share their story, to
Mm,
let them share their story. And we have a gentleman coming up in the next 2 weeks, is a gentleman who has mental health challenges, and actually I think he told me his younger older brother committed suicide.
wow.
And so he definitely has a story to tell. And then a few weeks ago we had a unique conversation with an Asian American lady saying that the Asian American community is not supporting the Black American community. That was a unique conversation.
Absolutely. Every story is so incredible, and it's so interesting to hear. You know, that's one of the inspiration I get every time I hear. I want to hear more. I want to hear more. I want to bring
That's
more.
what you want. That's one of the things one of my mentors taught me a long time ago is you want to be an encore performer. And
Yeah,
for those people who don't know what that means, when you go see a movie or a concert or a play, if people really like it, what do they do at the end of the performance? They give an encore.
yeah.
Why do they give an encore? Because they want more.
Exactly, exactly. It is a very interesting, the minds and the body and everything in a, we are part of everything in one concept. Anyway, thanks a lot. I really appreciate Dr. Vipe, and see you next time. And then God bless you and everything.
Right back at you. Keep the faith, and remember, everybody, give yourself grace.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you one more time. Okay, we'll take. Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye.